Greetings everyone, this is Eldad Amara, and this is my channel Eyes Wide Shut. I'm going to show you just how much the government controls us and how they condition our minds. Watch this video and I'll come back to you in a minute.
In India, a large bonfire is set for a traditional ceremony. A goat herder leads his flock around the fire, once, twice, thrice before stepping back. Yet the goats continue to circle, aimlessly following the one in front. What starts as a simple movement evolves into a mindless cycle, reminiscent of how people often follow in religion, politics, and society without questioning. This adherence stems from conditioning, not conviction. To break free requires courage. The fire, real or imagined, matters less than the fear and blindness that keep us circling. So ask yourself, are you thinking for yourself or just following the herd? Is your pursuit meaningful or are you merely dancing around the flame?
Did you see that? Did you see these animals going around and around? Do you see these animals going around and around in a circle, going around a fire? But this first led by a farmer, and this guy was going around the fire, and these sheep, I think it was sheep, were following him around and around and around the fire. Okay, and then eventually moved away from the fire, and guess what? The sheep, they just continued to go around the fire. They just continued to follow each other around the fire. Now this is a vicious cycle, and you can use the sheep as an analogy, because just like the sheep, there are many of us. We follow each other like sheep. Why do we do this? And I'm going to tell you, it's through conditioning. It's through no fault of your own. This was done through conditioning. You see, they tried to get to our minds first. They've been attacking the minds first. They have been attacking our minds first. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the elite. Okay, through their institutions, alright, through their political institutions, through their religious institutions, through their laws, okay, through their customs, Christmas, Easter, and all of those types of things. They have conditioned our minds into thinking in a certain way. You see, wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Wherever this goes, the mind, energy flows. And these people have been trying to weaponize our minds for the longest of times. You see, people don't realize that we are in a spiritual war right now. We are in a spiritual war. We're also in a physical war, but it's more a war of the mental. Because they know that once they've got this, once they've got the mind, then the body will follow. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. And I've done quite a few videos on wherever the mind goes, the energy will flow there. So I've done videos on politics, I've done videos on the hip-hop industry, I've done videos on music also, right? To show you wherever this goes, wherever the mind goes, energy will flow there. We have been conditioned for the longest of time. When did this start? It started from when we were children. It started from when we were children. You see, our parents have been conditioned into a certain way of thinking through these various different programs, through these school programs, through our political institutions, through our law, and so forth. Yeah, and then that has been passed down to us. So the conditioning would have had to start with your parents first, and their parents, and going back and back and back. And how did people get conditioned? They got conditioned through, as I say again, through the media, the newspaper, the television, and so forth. And these people, the elites, they're quite clever because they know wherever this goes, the mind, the body will follow it. Man, we've been weaponized through so many different things. We need workers, right? They need workers. I can't remember if it's Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller. I think it's John Rockefeller, who turned around, he said that he wanted a nation of workers, not thinkers. He wanted a nation of workers, not thinkers. Right? In order to control people, they have to get to this, the mind first. I think it's John Rockefeller, but please, if I'm incorrect, please can you leave me a comment on this? I think it's Rockefeller. He turned around and he said he wanted a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. If you woke up and you start to realize what is going on, then they will have no more control over you. But to have control over you, they need to condition you. They need to program you. And they do this through their religious institutions. They do this through their political institutions and through mass media. See this book? This is such a powerful book. Some people's going to get offended when I talk about religion. Right? Religion is a very powerful tool. A very powerful tool. A good way of controlling people. This is where some of us learn our values through this book. The virtues of good and bad. The virtues of family. The virtues of marriage. All stems from this book. This is a really good conditioning tool. And there are many people, they will believe every single thing that is in this book. In this book, the Bible. And this is just a version, right? This is just a version, the King James version of the Bible, which means it's not the original Bible, it's a version. But this is such a good conditioning tool. People go to church and their children will go to church. You see, many people will go to church because it's traditional. When I was a kid, I went to church because my parents went to church. And there's many people who go to church because they want to fit in, okay? They don't question why they're going to church, but it's because they want to fit in. You see, there are many people who go to church, and they go to church, and they don't question why they're going to church. It's because everyone else in their family is probably going to church. They decide that they want to go to church as well. And because they don't want to seem like an outsider. They want to stay within the herd so they don't seem like an outsider. And fear is also a thing that keeps us in our place. Fear, because we fear ridicule. We think that if we step from outside of the herd, then we'll be ridiculed. We'll be the black sheep of the family. So rather than that, we stay within the herd because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage to step outside of a belief system, to step outside of a herd. Now the government, they're quite good at getting people to stay within the herd. This is through conditioning. And it starts, as I say again, people who may not believe in what they're following in the church, they will stay in the church simply because they feel safe there. Okay? They feel safe there. And they don't want to question it, and they don't want to question other members of the flock. So they stay within that environment. Anybody who's dissenting, who wants to dissent against the system, those people are seen as outsiders. Do you know that or is it the CIA? I think it's the CIA in America. They brought out something called conspiracy theory. Right? If two or more people get together then they are considered to be conspiring. Now, this was a good way of trying to stop people who were thinking critically, try to stop them from stepping from outside of the herd mentality. Anybody who thought differently to what the government want them to think were considered to be conspiratorial theories. Were considered to be conspiracy theorists. Now, I don't conspire with anyone because I don't work with anyone. I don't work with any group. Okay, so I'm not a conspiracy theorist, not in the terms of how the CIA anyway would try to identify a conspiratorial theorist. They like to use things such as cognitive dissonance. They know that those people who think for themselves, who think outside the box, right? Other people who stay within inside the box, they will distance themselves from those conspiratorial theorists or people who think from outside the box. Okay, they'll see them as being subnormal. They see them as being different. Oh, look at that tin hat theorist over there. Look at that guy is totally off his head, or that woman is totally off their head. Okay, they're thinking from outside of the box. So they are considered to be conspiracy theorists. So people distance themselves from people like that, right? Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. The government is good at doing this, right? Trying to create a separation between those people who want to follow the herd mentality and those who don't wish to follow the herd mentality. Man, we're conditioned in so many ways that we don't really have time to think about it. I'll give you an example. Time. When you look at the clock, you say there's 24 hours in a day. Is there actually 24 hours in a day? If there's 24 hours in a day, then where is night? If there's just 24 hours in a day, then where is night? You actually have 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night in a 24-hour clock. Roughly 12 hours a day and roughly 12 hours of night. There is not 24 hours in a day. This is mind control. This is mind manipulation. As I said before, they want to get to your mind first. Once they conquer the mind, they know that the body will follow. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. When you think of 24 hours in a day, subconsciously thinking, I have more hours in a day than I think. In reality, you have less hours in a day than you think. And most people work 8 to 10 hours per day. 8 to 10 hours per day. Notice I did not say night. I said day. So with a 24-hour clock, you're thinking, I have more hours in a day. But you don't. If there's 12 hours in a day, I'm losing some people, I know. Stick with me. If you have 12 hours in a day and you're working 8 to 10 hours of that day, means you have less day for yourself, less time for yourself. The government condition us, right, to be workers. The government has conditioned us because they want us to be workers, to work within their system, right? So, when you think of daytime and you think about how many hours a day you have to work, it's funny as well. Why is it that on average most people work 8 hours a day? Why do they work 8 hours a day? Some people work nights as well. But for the majority of people, they work in the daytime. But why 8 hours? Why is full-time hours considered between 37 hours a week to 40 hours a week? This is all conditioning. The education system was made for us to comply with obedience, right? To follow rules, to get up at certain times of the day, get up at 8 o'clock in order to go to school for 9 o'clock, and then finish at 4 o'clock. Follow the rules when you're in class. You must obey the teacher. You must follow certain rules and regulations and certain morals. Okay? You must walk down the left hand side of a corridor and do not cross over onto the other side. This is all part of conditioning. And sorry, people are going to say to me again that I'm having a go at them. I'm not having a go at you. I'm trying to make you realize that, listen, we have all been conditioned by a system, right? And the system wants us to be compliant. They want us to obey. They want us to believe in their institutions, in their narratives. You think about, they say we need to eat 4 meals a day. Do we? When you step back and you look at it properly, do we really need to eat 4 meals a day? Have breakfast, dinner, tea, and then supper 4 times. It's all to do with the economy. It's all to do with the economy. Okay? Because a man in the desert, or a man who's in the jungle, or a woman, they don't eat 4 times a day, and they're still quite healthy. So this is another form of conditioning. It's to make you continuously go out and buy more goods. To make you buy more goods, because we live in a consumer society. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. You see those sheep in that video I just showed you? They've been conditioned into acting in a certain way. Okay? When the farmer, or when the man moved away from the sheep, they didn't stop, they just kept on going. We're in the system, and we do the same thing every day. We get up, we go to work, we come home, right? We go to bed, we get up, we go to work, we come home. In between that, we might do a bit of shopping, okay? Take the kids to school. But we're going around in this circle, continuously doing the same thing, day in, day out almost. Yeah? For a whole month, and paying bills, paying taxes. We're too tired by the time we get home to be able to really do anything else except for to get up and to go to work and then come home. We've been conditioned in that way. We've been conditioned in that way to pay bills, to get up, to go to work, to come home, right? To go to bed, and then to do the same thing and repeat the cycle continuously, just like the sheep do. Okay? anybody now who sees that and decide that they want to step outside of the box, outside of the system, they're seen as troublemakers, they're seen as non-conformist, right? And people will have cognitive distance, they will distance themselves from those people. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows there. They have subtle wars going on. And subtle wars going on within all aspects of our life. From the political institutions, we go and vote for our so-called political parties that we want in because we think that they're going to help us in our lives. We have the news we watch at 10 o'clock every night, and you see all the fear mongering that's going on, and so that fear keeps you in your place and keeps you compliant. You have food, they're attacking you now in terms of what you're eating, because half the time you don't even know what's in these foods that you're eating. Okay, you got emulsifiers, you got red dye 40, yellow dye 40, you've got E's and all kinds of things that's in these foods. Of keep having to come back to them. It's the same thing with the supermarkets, right? Lots of people go and shop, buy their fruit, their vegetables, their fish, their meat. Okay? They don't live a self-sufficient, most people that is, don't live a self-sufficient life. They've been dependent on the system. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. The things that's been put into your food are slowly killing us off. The things that we're watching on TV, the news, is keeping us in fear and keeping us under the control of the narrative of the elite. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. If you look at a clock, most people think that time is in a circle because they look at a clock and they think time is in a circle, but time may be linear. It could be linear, or it might be on a horizontal axis, or it might be on an axis, okay? Or it might be spiraling, okay? That's time. But most people associate time as a circle. And just like how you was watching those sheep going round and round and round in a cycle, they call it a vicious cycle. Why vicious? Words have power. Words carry frequency. Words carry vibration. Words carry meaning. Okay? A vicious cycle is by no accident why they call it a vicious cycle. Wherever this goes, wherever the mind goes, energy flows. You know, animals that have been captivated, right? Such as apes, elephants. Sometimes they've been captivated and locked up in the zoo and have a chain on them, right? And that's been going on for years. They've had a chain on them and they've been walking backwards and forwards. When that chain eventually gets taken away, do you know that they just keep repeating the same cycle? They don't realize that they're free because in their mind, the chain is still on their leg. The chain is still attached to them on their leg. But up here, they're thinking they don't realize that the chains have been taken off. That's conditioning. That is conditioning. Now, there's many people that's going to come out against me and say, I'm talking a load of crap. Listen, we're under a spiritual war right now. They're taking us out slowly, okay? They're taking us out slowly, making us unalive. but they need to kill this first. And they want to get rid of critical thinking. And I've been trying to say to people, you need to start using this. Anyway, this is my video on herding. I shall be doing a few more on this. Okay, please go to my merch store. Please go to my merch store. I have hats, t-shirts, caps, cups, sweatshirts. If you buy the merch, it will help to support this channel. Please help to support this channel. Keep this channel going. Keep this channel alive. This is Eldad Amara with my channel Eyes Wide Shut. Too many people are walking around with their eyes wide shut when their eyes should be wide open. They tried to bury us like weeds, but like weeds, we just keep coming back. We just keep coming back. As Mahatma Gandhi said, the change that you want to see in the world starts with us first. And hopefully if we change, it will have a cascading effect. Other people see the change in us and they will change themselves. Okay, we can't leave it to other people to change things for us. We need to do it for ourselves. Look within and not out. Thank you, Eldad Amara.